like my video, subscribe to my channel for more juicy.
Stop, it's hurting me. Stop.
Long ago, in a small, windswept village tucked between rolling hills of ancient Britain, lived a man named Musa. Life had not been kind to him. His beloved wife had passed away, leaving him alone with his young son, Michael. The boy, only 5 years old, clung to his father, his wide, innocent eyes reflecting both fear and hope. Musa, though strong and determined, found caring for Michael alone a daunting task. He worked long hours as a blacksmith, forging tools and weapons for the villagers, yet no matter how hard he tried, the burden of nurturing a young child wore heavily on him. The villagers often whispered about Musa and his son. They were a quiet pair, surviving on the little they had, but always with a sense of pride and dignity. Musa knew that for Michael to grow up safely and learn the ways of the village, he needed a motherly presence, someone who could nurture, guide, and protect his son when he himself was away. After long nights of thought and prayer, Musa decided to marry again. The woman he chose was named Sylvia, a widow from a neighboring village who was known for her charm and intelligence. She had her own young son, Joshua, who was the same age as Michael. Musa welcomed her into his home, hoping she would care for Michael as a mother should. The villagers were curious but approving. They believed this union would bring stability and joy back into Musa's household. At first, things seemed promising. Sylvia smiled at Michael, helped him with his lessons, and cooked warm meals for the family. Musa felt a flicker of hope that Michael's childhood would finally be filled with love and security. But, in the quiet corners of the home, subtle tensions began to stir, between the two boys, between Sylvia's ambition, and the fragile peace of the household. Little did Musa know, the arrival of Sylvia and her son Joshua would set a chain of events into motion that would alter Michael's life in ways he could never have imagined. Beneath Sylvia's gentle demeanor lurked jealousy and a desire for influence, and Joshua, observing Michael's kind nature and the affection he earned from the villagers, felt the first seeds of envy take root in his young heart. The stage was set, and the winds of ancient Britain whispered secrets of the trials and curses yet to come. As the seasons passed, Michael and Joshua grew taller, stronger, and more aware of the world around them. Michael's gentle nature and kind heart made him beloved by everyone in the village. He helped the elderly with their chores, guided the younger children in games and learning, and never refused anyone who needed assistance. The villagers admired him, not just for his deeds, but also for his striking appearance: long, flowing hair, bright eyes, and a smile that could light the darkest winter day. Joshua, on the other hand, began to notice the way people looked at Michael. Women from the village would smile at him, bring him gifts, and seek his company. The men respected him, the elders praised him, and Michael's popularity seemed to grow with every passing day. At first, Joshua tried to ignore the pangs of envy in his heart, but they festered. He would watch Michael in silence, feeling a bitter twist inside him whenever anyone praised his step-sibling. Eventually, his jealousy became too heavy to bear. He started whispering complaints to his mother, Sylvia, framing Michael's virtues as a threat. "Mother, everyone loves him more than us. Even the villagers care more for Michael than for me. It's not fair," Joshua would say, his eyes glinting with resentment. Sylvia listened, her calm demeanor slowly cracking. Her thoughts turned dark, poisoned by the seeds of envy Joshua had planted. She had married Musa to secure a comfortable life and perhaps influence the family, but now she found herself overshadowed by the boy she was meant to nurture. The idea of a child, her stepson, being more cherished than her own son began to gnaw at her mind. Late at night, when the household was quiet and Musa was away at the blacksmith, Sylvia would retreat to the shadows of the forest, visiting an old witch who lived on the edge of the village. The villagers whispered that the witch's magic could bend reality, grant curses, and twist the fates of men. Sylvia's heart was filled with anger and jealousy, and she sought the witch's power to change Michael's life in a way that would elevate Joshua and humble the boy who shone too brightly. The witch, sensing Sylvia's bitterness and ambition, agreed to help, but warned her, "Magic bends the world, but it also twists the soul. What you give will return in ways you cannot foresee." But Sylvia, blinded by jealousy, did not care. She invoked a dark spell over Michael, a curse that would alter his body in a way that no mortal had ever endured. When the spell was complete, Sylvia returned home, her heart pounding with a mixture of triumph and fear. She watched Michael from afar, curious to see the results of her magic. She did not know that her actions would set in motion events far greater than mere envy, events that would bring both suffering and revelation to her own doorstep, and so, the village continued in its serene rhythm, unaware that a shadow of dark magic now lingered over Michael, the boy they all loved, and that the first true enemy in his life was already hiding within his own home. Sylvia, still nursing her envy, decided it was time to act decisively. The curse she had cast years ago now took full form, altering Michael's body in a way that would bring him misery beyond imagination. It began subtly. Michael noticed discomfort in his private moments, though he could not understand why. Soon, however, the truth became impossible to ignore. When he married his first wife, a woman chosen with love and respect, he expected joy and closeness. But on the second day after their wedding, she fled from him, terrified and refusing to return. Michael was stunned. Confusion and sorrow filled him as he asked, "Why are you running from me? What have I done to deserve this?" But his wife would not answer. She simply begged him to leave her, whispering that he was too much. Before disappearing from his life forever, heartbroken but determined to find love, Michael married again. On the first night of his honeymoon, he tried to embrace happiness, only to be met with shock. By morning, his new wife had vanished, leaving a note pleading that he let her go, insisting that he was too much for her to bear. Michael's cries of anguish echoed through the village. "Lord, what have I done to you? Why is this my fate?" Distraught and desperate, he sought guidance. Remembering tales of the old shamans who could see the unseen, he journeyed to the forest with Sylvia, who accompanied him under the guise of support. They entered the sacred shrine, where the shaman, a wise figure cloaked in mysticism, awaited them. Before Michael could speak, the shaman's eyes widened in recognition. "I know why you are here, young man," he said. "Fear not, for your suffering will not last forever. But know this, your first enemy is not far, it is closer than you imagine." Michael listened, puzzled. The shaman continued, "The one who has cursed you will not die, but madness will come upon them. When that time comes, your suffering will end, and what was altered will return to its rightful state." Michael left the shrine with a heart full of questions. He did not yet understand the shaman's words, and the shadow of his mysterious curse weighed heavily on him. That night, he slept fitfully, unaware that the first tremors of revelation were already beginning to stir in the home he thought he knew. 3 days had passed since Michael returned from the shaman's shrine, and the household felt strangely tense. The villagers went about their daily lives, unaware of the storm quietly brewing in Musa's home. Michael tried to focus on his work and duties, yet a gnawing unease lingered in his mind. He could not forget the shaman's words, "The one who has cursed you will not die, but madness will come upon them." It was in the quiet morning that he first noticed something terrifying. From the corner of the room, he heard laughter, then cries, then incoherent shouting. The sounds grew louder, echoing through the house as he rushed toward them. There, in the center of the hall, stood Sylvia. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes wide with unhinged intensity. She was dancing wildly, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, and sometimes screaming as if unseen forces tormented her. She swung her arms and stomped her feet, the air thick with the chaos of her madness. Michael froze, horror rooting him to the spot. The words of the shaman returned with vivid clarity, "Your first enemy is closer than you imagine." He looked at her, his stepmother, the woman he had trusted, and realization struck like a lightning bolt. Every moment of his recent suffering, every fleeing bride, every humiliation that had caused him anguish, now made sense. It was Sylvia. She had cast the spell, using dark magic to curse him in the most intimate and agonizing way. As he watched, something miraculous began to happen. The torment that had plagued his body, the unnatural alteration, slowly began to fade. The curse was lifting, returning Michael to his natural state. Relief washed over him, mixed with sorrow and anger at the betrayal of someone so close to him. Sylvia's cries grew more incoherent, her laughter jagged and manic. She had become the living embodiment of the shaman's prophecy. She would not die, but she would descend into madness. Joshua watched from the shadows, fear and guilt etching his young face. He realized, too late, that the envy he had nurtured had helped destroy his mother's sanity. Michael stood in the doorway, his heart heavy but resolute. Though he had endured humiliation and heartbreak, he was now free from the curse. And though Sylvia's madness was tragic, it served as a stark lesson. True enemies are sometimes closer than we think, hiding behind masks of love and care. From that day onward, the household changed. Musa mourned the woman he had trusted but knew that his son's suffering had ended. Michael, stronger now in both body and spirit, learned that even in the face of betrayal, kindness, patience, and courage could carry him through. Yet, even in freedom, a shadow lingered, the knowledge that envy and darkness could corrupt hearts in ways unimaginable, and that one must always be vigilant against those who dwell closest to us. The village awoke to a different world after that fateful week. Word of Sylvia's madness spread quickly, whispered from house to house, and the villagers watched from a distance as she wandered the fields and streets. Laughing and crying to herself, a tragic figure consumed by the darkness she had invoked. Joshua, shaken by the events, stayed close to his father and Michael, silently realizing the cost of envy and the danger of misplaced trust. Michael, meanwhile, began to reclaim his life. The curse that had brought him sorrow and humiliation had vanished, and with it, a burden he had borne silently for years. Though the pain of lost brides and heartbreak lingered, he emerged stronger and wiser. He returned to his daily acts of kindness, helping the villagers, guiding the young, and showing compassion to all. Musa, proud of his son, supported him without question. He had seen Michael endure trials that could have crushed any man. Yet Michael's heart remained gentle and generous. Together, father and son rebuilt the household, though they never forgot the lesson of betrayal and jealousy. Joshua, humbled by the events, grew closer to Michael, not as a rival, but as a brother. The two learned to coexist peacefully, though the shadow of Sylvia's madness remained a cautionary tale in their minds. Joshua's envy was replaced with respect, and he quietly vowed to live a life free of the bitterness that had poisoned his mother. As for Sylvia, she remained lost in her own madness, wandering the village and surrounding forests. The shaman's prophecy had been fulfilled. She did not die, but she was consumed by her own dark desires, a warning to all who sought to harm others through jealousy or magic. Her fate became a tale whispered to children, a story of envy, power, and the consequences of turning against those closest to you. Michael's life slowly returned to peace. He married again, carefully choosing a woman who cherished him for his heart rather than being swayed by fear or vanity. The villagers, ever fond of him, celebrated his resilience, and Michael became a symbol of virtue, courage, and patience. In the quiet of the village, Michael would often walk through the hills at dusk, remembering the trials he had endured. He thought of the shaman's words, now fully understood, and gave silent thanks for the wisdom and foresight that had guided him. The lessons of betrayal, envy, and the hidden dangers close to one's heart were etched deeply into his soul, and so, life in the village continued, stronger, wiser, and tempered by the trials of a young man who had faced darkness, endured it, and emerged not just unbroken, but illuminated by the light of compassion, courage, and the enduring power of the human spirit.
Please, please, please like my video, subscribe to my channel for more juicy